Again, co-founder of CyberNow Labs. Today I have Rashed with us. Rashed is our Core 2 student. It's been more than a year, right, since you graduated?
Yeah, I graduated actually May 2019. So
May 2019.
More than a year.
It's been a while. It's been a while. So we're going to talk about his background, why he chose cybersecurity, and a little bit about the training as well, and then what he's doing right now as a cybersecurity threat intelligence analyst. Correct? Your current title?
Yep. Correct.
All right. Perfect. Perfect. Can you tell us a little bit about your background?
Okay, my favorite interview question, which I answered too many of. So my background is actually in economics. It has nothing to do with technology or cyberspace. And I did some IT technology related work in the past, but I came across the cybersecurity training around the time the second cohort was starting with CyberNow Labs. I was always interested in the cyberspace, how the internet especially worked. I remember myself Googling, what is a DNS server? What happens when I connect to the internet? So that was a natural interest to me. And I always found myself naturally gravitating towards technical side of the things. So I took advantage of the training. And after a while, when the training was done, I didn't immediately start looking for something, but when I did, I was able to get an intelligence job, which I'm still currently doing. So that has been my journey in cyberspace.
Great. Glad to hear that. And that curious mindset is, I guess, one of the most important things in cybersecurity. You've been working for more than a year now, almost a year. And I guess you can attest to that as well, right? There's always something to learn. No one knows everything. It's huge. Cybersecurity domain itself is huge. There's so many different specializations within cybersecurity.
Absolutely.
And no one can claim that they know everything. So especially when you're a beginner, you can use that I guess the new card and ask whatever you like. Perfect. Go ahead.
Yeah, I want to add something to what you said. Now, initially, it may feel like too much because there's too much going on. But after a while, as soon as you start following the news and as soon as you get the fundamentals, you start to have a cybersecurity mindset, and it helps you understand other topics better as well. So if you're going to start this new, don't ever overwhelm yourself with thinking too much into what is this, what is that, how am I going to achieve that? So everything is one step at a time. It takes a little time to digest things and have the mindset going on. But once that is there, the sky is the limit. So just have the foundations first with this kind of training.
All right, perfect. About the training, I know you were part of cohort 2 and a lot has changed since then. We're now in cohort 6 and we actually have a fully operational security operations center now. Something that, it wasn't in place all the way back in cohort 2. We were still using the tools, but not the way we're doing it right now with the current setup. I guess a lot of the people I talk to, one concern is they take certifications like Security Plus, CYSA, whatever, but don't know where to start in terms of hands-on or don't have the tools necessary. Can you tell me how the Security Operations Center itself or the tools or the way it was taught helped you find your job?
Right. So you mentioned something about cohort 2. We didn't have a fully operational center with the cool toys and tools that you have right now. But even with that, I think what's most important is to have that mindset, have the fundamentals very good. So I remember you teaching, taking time out of your family and coming there every 2 nights and every Saturday, which I still find amazing, to be able to do that. No amount of money would have me do that actually. So that shows some dedication on your part, and I think that imparted something on us as well. seeing that passion gave us a very good foundation for cybersecurity. Even without having a FIRE HX training or a QRadar training, some of us were able to find those jobs. It's not necessary in threat intelligence. Threat intelligence requires more of a good understanding and following the news. That's more of a requirement in the intel side. But let me tell you this as well. It's not exactly your question, but at the time I was also thinking of going to quality assurance testing, which is very common nowadays, right? A lot of the people go into that as well. Because they were advertising huge monies that I never made in my life.
Of course.
So there was an appeal. They had their problems on that side, which I don't want to address right now. But that was one option that I heard. But this one to me was more durable because it required less time, and then also this was more of an organic entry into a career instead of entering from top, writing a resume that way. This is oh, I just finished the training, this is what I know, looking for an entry job. So it was more organic that way, which felt very comfortable for me. And the other thing is, in cybersecurity, something you mentioned, there are a lot of sub-branches that we can do. So we usually imagine somebody sitting in a dark room at a nice school security operations center, looking at screens or hacking into some place. It's not just that. If you have a background in political science, in social sciences, there are amazing cybersecurity jobs for you as well. You don't have to be a geek. All it requires is to have a good understanding of the world. In intelligence, for example, what you need is, if you have actually a background in economics, in political science, it's even better, because cyberspace is right now everywhere. Wars are engaged in cyberspace. So companies are looking to gather intelligence to make strategic decisions. So that requires for them to be knowledgeable about how attacks are implemented, what's going on in the cyberspace. And that's cyber threat intelligence gathering. It's part of the job. So if you have a background in social sciences, it's even better to have, which is something you don't have in testing per se, for example, because you would need to have a coding background to do that. So our job is not to sit at a computer, bored to death, read line by line, which I did in my grad school journey. You would write a code, execute, and then there's a terrible dot sound. Why? X is not defined.
Yes.
Or
unfortunately.
the function didn't convert.
Unfortunately.
So we don't
that's
have that. We have what is Russia doing? What is China doing? And how is Iran is gonna how is the elections are gonna affect it? So that's cybersecurity, not just guys in the dark rooms.
Depending on your background, I mean, not everyone wears a hoodie in cybersecurity and sits in front of a computer and spends the entire day. Even though when you talk to people, especially people who are coming into the field, they have that idea they're going to be spending the rest of their lives on Kali Linux and with the hoodie. That's not the case. That's probably, I don't know, maybe 5% of what we do. Depending on whether you want to go down the technical route or the non-technical route, there's a lot of different specializations that you can follow. You mentioned you have economics. You mentioned political science. My next interview that I'm thinking right now is actually with Clara. She was a professor in political science, and now she's working as a SOC analyst. A good example of that. When during the training, she wasn't the best of the best when it comes to technical piece, but she was really great at communicating what she learned, and that brought that offer letter, and now she's working as a SOC analyst.
Let me add this also. Whatever you bring from your previous life, you could be a teacher, you could be a salesperson. That has a value in cybersecurity as well, because there are roles that you could use your sales experience, for example. Once you start, climbing up different roles in the company, they will come in very handy. Nothing goes to waste. Your education, your experience doesn't go to waste here. They always come in handy. So don't think, oh my God, I'm a sellout. I wasn't able to do my teaching job. I need money. Everybody goes into IT. That's why I'm doing it now. I sold myself out. No. Even if you have a nonprofit lean, you could help nonprofit companies with their cyber needs. That's what I'm doing right now. Recently, the Fairfax County schools were attacked. They are a victim of ransomware attack. So as soon as that happened, I reached out to my local school and I told them, it's a private school, I told them, let me look into your systems as a threat intelligence person and tell you what is wrong with your systems that could be exploited. And I brought to their attention things they didn't know, and they were able to mitigate some of those issues. So there you go. You're helping somebody. I mean, there is no escaping cyberspace. It's everywhere. It's part of life, every aspect of life. So you could do what you love and do that in cybersecurity. It's entirely possible.
I think transferring those skills is an important part of the puzzle as well. Especially teachers out there. If you can survive in the classroom, you can do this job. This is piece of cake. If you can survive in the classroom, that's more difficult. I can see that. And also QA testing folks as well. I've actually received quite a lot of calls recently after COVID. People calling to trying to get into cybersecurity from QA because they want something stable. They don't want to look back and look for a job every 6 months or a year. They want something stable, something that actually has a career growth opportunity that they can spend the next 20 years of their lives. You're making an investment, and obviously you need to measure that ROI, right, return on investment. So I'm glad you mentioned that. So we talked about the technical aspect of the training, the fact that you kind of go through the training. You work like a security analyst before you land that interview, so that you can answer the questions from your experience at CyberNow Labs, rather than just giving them hypothetical answers or trying to give hypothetical answers from Security Plus book. And you're not going to find most of those answers. You're not going to find the answer of, tell me about a recent incident that you handled in Security Plus book. It's very high level. What it teaches us is just the language of security. So we can sit down and maybe use the same terms and understand each other. It doesn't do anything further than that. And I think this hands-on aspect kind of fills that gap and hopefully.
I want to add something there, actually. I still go back to the recordings of the videos from our lectures in cohort 2. And what I discovered is whatever we were being told, it was told as a scenario based. This is actually how it happens in the SOC. And this is a common problem, and this is how we approach it. This is very different than university program. I don't understand people spending a lot of money on a master's degree in cybersecurity or getting all these certifications. They mean something. They help you gain some knowledge. That is for sure. But when it comes to having the muscle memory, having the mindset, they lack. And I'm actually surprised that this is not. I mean, given the growth in cybersecurity, I'm surprised to see. I'm surprised to see that there's still a place. I mean, not everybody, not a lot of training companies are doing this. That's the point that I'm trying to get at. There are really established ones, but they're either focusing on, you pay a lot of money for a 1 week training. They just train people who already have some sort of a knowledge, like training professionals. But nothing that will prepare you for something like a 1 year level of experience, so that you could say, this is, you could comfortably say, I've been doing this in a year experience. And that's something that recruiters and employers will see if you have this hands-on muscle memory kind of training. That's what they will see.
Yep.
So whatever comes to you in the education, it always comes it's scenario based, and that's really important.
And know that not a lot of most of those applicants, the people that you're competing against, won't be able to say that they've used Splunk Enterprise Security on a day-to-day basis, or they've used IBM QRadar or FireEye or Carbon Black on a day-to-day basis in a real environment, not just the community edition or whatever, but in a real environment where there are logs and incidents that are happening. That really helps you from distinguishing from all the other candidates and landing that first offer. From there, the rest is easy, actually very easy. I guess as someone who has more than a year experience in CyberNow, you can probably tell that too. You start getting more hits from recruiters. After that point, after having a year or two experience in cybersecurity, you're gonna feel much more comfortable in terms of job security. I have one more.
There's another added benefit of CyberNow Labs before
Yes.
we move on to our next question, and that's the sense of community. This is not something that you could do alone, and my best friendships are, still what I had in that cohort, and actually later course as well, as we engaged and come back and meet other people in the next course and listening to classes, or took advantage of the labs that we didn't have that we generously offered at the time. So the sense of community is very important when you look for jobs. And the other thing is, when the training is done, your relationship is not done. So this is a place that you can comfortably come back and still look for guidance. It's not like we took your money and this is the service that we offered.
That's a fun. That's a good point as well, because the fun actually begins after the training ends. That's when the job search begins, and that's when you start applying to jobs, and that's when we kind of talk one-on-one about the different jobs or interviews that you may have, to do that final touch, before the interview, to make sure you're ready and you're not blindsided. And if there are any people, students, alumni who are working in that company, they can help with sort of give you some sort of guidance. Or if there were some other students who went through that type of interview, then they can guide you in the right direction and say this is what their focus is. Because again, there's a lot that they can ask from. Having those tips really help you kind of nail down on the important ones, not just any topic. So I guess I have one last question here. What is your recommendation for people who are thinking about cybersecurity and transitioning to cybersecurity, who may or may not have Security Plus, who may have no knowledge, or may have Security Plus, and looking to start their careers?
Right. This is right for everybody. There are no backgrounds that's not fit for this, because everything with this training is actually from the scratch. So you don't have to have. And I remember helping out some of my colleagues who never downloaded stuff into their computers, and they were having difficulties finding the download. So even they had some sort of technical training. So the point that I'm trying to get at is, it's if you have a curious mind, something that we referred to before, this is the right place for you. It's not too technical. There is no daunting technicality. When you say cybersecurity hacking, it sounds cool and it sounds a little intimidating, but it is not. There are like too many things that you can do, so you can select whatever you like within that, and it's a growing field. It's gonna be one of the most important industries going forward, as long as we have electricity.
Internet, yep.
It's a fact of modern life. So this is not going to go anywhere, and your job is secure. Your job is very secure, because yes, this industry also develops, it automates as well. But what you learn in this training is that the soft skills to thrive in the modern workplace, the right mindset of approaching things and improving yourself. And then whatever you bring from your previous life, they are not going to waste in cybersecurity. So this is if you are watching this, if you are right here thinking about this, this is the right thing for you. You're not gonna regret it. Because again, I mean, there are like too many different things, and it's not just one thing that you have to be doing your whole life. So it's very doable, and even with its like lack of sophisticated labs, myself and many of my colleagues were able to find jobs 6 months to 1 year in some cases, or 3 months, depending on like how quickly they were looking, or how they were like focused, depending on that. But I don't know anybody who didn't have a job that finished the course and still looking for a job. I don't know those people. So this is the right place for you. Don't worry about it. Let the professionals take care of you. Is what I would say. And I want to commend you, Hassan, and your colleague Omer, to everybody here that's watching this. We never had you. We never had a business relationship with you. Like I pay you something, we get a service. This is one of the benefits that you get here. There's a sense of community, and you can always call Hassan to, hey, I have this interview tomorrow. I know it's more than 6 months that I finished this training, but I have this very important interview. Could you help me out? So there's always this aura of sense of friendship with your other people in your cohort, and with the management here. There's always this human touch. And if you look at their track records, it speaks to their success. How where they are now and also doing this, but also educating a lot of people like us and placing them in different places. That tells you something as well. So, of course, you make an investment, and you're right to think, am I in the right place? My personal opinion is that your investment will not go to waste. And these are not only professionals, but also a very friendly people who created a community. So definitely go for it.
Thank you, Rashed, for those kind words. Motivation is something that that's really important to it as well. It's not just the training. It's not just the platform. If you don't have the motivation, then nothing really makes sense. So that community aspect of it is really important from that perspective. And believe me, like no matter how much effort we put into this and how tiring it becomes from time to time, when you get a call from someone saying that they got a job offer from whatever company, you forget everything. It's because I know that it's not just Rashed. I know that it's his family. It's not even just his family. It's the community that you live in, because you refer other people, and you become a sort of a role model for them, and they look at you and say, I mean, he did it. Maybe we should try this out too, and they become interested in these type of things, and that way you're kind of helping your community as well. And most of the people, I would say about maybe 9 out of 10 right now coming to CyberNow Labs are all word of mouth, which is something to really celebrate. They heard it from someone, or they saw someone got a job and were interested, and that's something we really care about.
I had a chance to engage with CyberNow Labs in a long-term way, after I graduated as well. I never felt an aggressive growth strategy, which is kind of like signature of training courses, right? Because you would like to get a lot of people as much as you want. I never heard any false promises, like you're gonna get a job in 3 months or 5 months, 4 months. We guarantee a job for you. I never heard from anybody, and still not hearing it from people that I talk to are taking these courses. that honesty is very important. There are no false promises that they will later feel ashamed about. So this is an honest place that are making only honest promises. And I never felt an aggressive business approach either. Like, this is all about money, running a business here. I didn't feel that. Whatever you feel is a sense of community. But of course, pay your money. Now, don't get me wrong. I don't want to give the wrong message here. This is not a charity. Pay your dues. But still, you don't feel it that way. You don't feel like part of a business relationship.
I'm glad to hear that, and I hope it's been about half an hour, I believe. This kind of 30 minutes will be valuable for others as well in making that decision whether to pursue a career in cybersecurity or not, or whether to choose CyberNow Labs as a mentor, as a means to achieve that goal. Hopefully, this was valuable to everyone. Do you have anything else to add?
I'm happy to help. I'm happy to answer any questions that people may have. You have my contact.
Oh, yes.
I can explain what I learned or talk about cybersecurity in general if they have questions about that.
Yep. Ping him on LinkedIn, Rashed on LinkedIn. Thank you very much for taking this time with us, Rashed. I really thank you for sharing your kind of your experience, what you went through.
It was a pleasure, man. It was my pleasure, definitely.
Yep.